When I was small, one day I came home stomping my legs, absolutely fed up, and said to my mother, "How can I ever do something great? I never studied under the street lamp, never crossed mountains to reach the school. We're not poor. I have a perfectly happy childhood. In fact, I'm normal. I'm quite normal. How can I ever do something great?" All the lessons I had learnt in school of great scientists, innovators, transformators, freedom fighters, people who had changed the world, they had all seen great struggle in life. They had sacrificed, dedicated their lives to a cause. And here I was, a middle class girl in a normal household. I did my homework, went to school, played with my friends. How could I ever be great? My mother said to me, "You want to bring about change, that's what matters. You can be anybody you want to be." Now, around the same time, our school teacher gave us an interesting homework. She asked us to write a letter to our future selves. 10 years from now, where would I want to be? Who would I want to be? Inspired by my newfound revelation, I wrote that letter and then completely forgot about it. Fast forward 10 years, something interesting happened. I was at a very decisive point in my life. I was about to become an engineer like the rest of my family, but something didn't quite feel right. Then I found that letter written 10 years ago by my younger self to the Prachi she aspired to be. In it, my younger self had written about making an impact, changing the world. Reading it was like a wake-up call. I decided to enroll into a media school which felt more like my calling. And inspired by the words and the dreams of my younger self, I began a journey to figure out how can I make a meaningful impact. Today, I'm going to tell you a story of that journey. So I started with reaching out to people who inspired me, people who had brought about a meaningful contribution in their community. One of them was a farmer called Jnaneshwar Bodke, founder of a group farming initiative, Abhinav Farmers Club. One day, I went to his home. I was offered warm milk taken straight from the cowshed. I asked him, "I want to learn from you. Can I shadow you for a few months?" He was kind enough to agree. And so, for the next few months, I traveled with him, interacting with farmers across Maharashtra. Slowly, I learned more and more about their story. It began 20 years ago when Jnaneshwar Bodke asked himself, "Can I turn my barren 1-acre land profitable?" So he took a loan from a bank to build a poly house and began organic farming. 1 year later, the bank manager came to his house. His father got scared, thought they had lost their land in debt. But instead, the bank manager touched his father's feet, fed him sweets, and said to him, "Your son has begun a revolution. He's the first ever farmer to repay a loan of 10 lakh to our bank within a year and gain profits." Slowly, farmers from neighboring villages heard about this story and started coming to him asking how they could do this too. And from this was born Abhinav Farmers Club. Today, it has turned into a nationwide enterprise with over 1.5 lakh farmers coming together, earning a revenue of over 400 crores. In the months that I traveled with Jnaneshwar Bodke, I saw countless farms turn profitable with the same success formula. I saw communities of farmers inspiring and uplifting one another, earning more together than they ever could alone. Inspired by their stories, I came back home, now with an invaluable learning that change can be like wildfire. We've all seen moments of success in our life, big or small, from getting an A in that math test to learning how to draw, from planting a garden on my rooftop to getting a promotion at work. When I see these tiny moments of success in life, I become an achiever. But when I help my friend, my neighbor, my community replicate that success, that's when I become a change maker. So after this experience, I went and reached out to another social entrepreneur and a personal role model, Nalini Shekhar, founder of an organization called Hasrudala, which amongst other things is helping waste workers become entrepreneurs. So again, I went up to her and asked if I could shadow her for a few months. "What is it that you're looking for by doing this?" she asked me. "I'm looking to be inspired." "If you want to be inspired, don't spend time with me. Spend time with the community," she said to me. And so, for the next few unforgettable months, I spent time with the waste workers of Bangalore. They welcomed me into their homes, into their workplaces, their communities. With them, I saw kindness and the support of community like I had never seen before. I met many amazing people who shaped me in many, many ways. I met a woman who in her small hut had given shelter to a homeless mother and son. I met a smart young man who had his own radio show talking about the rights of his fellow waste workers. I met an 80-year-old Ajji who was a listening ear of her community. Young and old alike would come to her to talk about their problems and get her wisdom. I met a mother who fought against her family to save up for her daughter's education instead of her dowry. I met a young boy who stood up to the bullies who were troubling his handicapped friend. I met an old man who after retirement made it his mission to make his society a zero-waste zone. All of them had managed to light a small fire of transformation in their day-to-day lives. Energized by their stories, I came back home and started thinking, can I too make a difference in my day-to-day life? So one day, I did a simple Google search. What is the biggest problem in the world today? That's when climate change popped up. All global scientists, experts were talking about how climate change is one of the most pressing issues in front of us today, and that we only have 3 decades to avoid its worst effects. Slowly, I started connecting the dots. I remembered meeting a farmer who said to me, I just can't afford to keep farming anymore because the weather has gotten so unreliable. And when I can't afford to grow food, there are thousands of people behind me who can't afford to buy food. I remembered meeting a bright young girl who had to drop out of school when her city was seeing a drought so she could stay at home and fill buckets with water. I got news that a friend's house was being destroyed in the flood in Chiproon. Her 75-year-old grandmother had to flee from the home she had spent her life in. I realized that climate change is impacting our homes. It's impacting our food, our health, and life as we know it. It troubled me. I decided to do something about it, at least at my own level. I had found my cause. But what could I do about climate change? I decided to start from my own home. My family and I took up a simple pledge to reduce our own greenhouse gas emissions by 10% every year. So we started researching which activities of mine are leading to most greenhouse gas emissions. How could I reduce them? How could I measure them? A few months into this journey, something interesting happened. My friends, neighbors, relatives began to take notice. They said to me, you're doing something interesting and we would like to be a part of this. So we started brainstorming. How can we take global citizens with us on this quest? From this was born an idea for an app which would help citizens like you and I reduce our own greenhouse gas emissions to a target. For the next 3 years, we worked like madmen on this project. And finally, this app was ready. We named it Cool the Globe. Using this app, citizens can record and measure the impact of their day-to-day climate actions. So I traveled by cycle instead of car to my office, which is 10 kilometers away. I can see that I saved 2.3 kg of greenhouse gas emissions. I did not watch TV for 2 hours today. I can know that I saved 1200 grams of greenhouse gas emissions. Suppose I love chicken, but in the interest of climate, I did not eat chicken for an entire month. And wow, I've saved 4 kg of greenhouse gas emissions. Individual actions may seem less, but they add up to a lot when there are many individuals coming together. So we made a global meter on the app, which would show the savings made by all app users combined. And that would be the power of collective action. I made a small video talking about the app, telling people that in the face of climate change, we can make a difference. What happened next was something I could have never imagined. Citizens rose up and shared that video with their friends, and their friends shared it with some more. Before I knew it, millions of people from around the world were watching this stream of climate action. We received support from media organizations, entrepreneurs, policymakers. Countless citizens came forward to champion for climate action. One of our users called me and said that he had repaired his cycle to start traveling to his office every day. He was so proud to see that he had already avoided 60 kg of greenhouse gas emissions by doing this for a month. One day, a 9-year-old girl emailed me. She asked me, what changes can I make in my own life to fight climate change. An 80-year-old woman called me. She said she was going to buy 3 new saris for her granddaughter's wedding, but instead she had decided to reuse her old saris. She was so happy to see that she was avoiding 15 kg of emissions by doing this. This would be my small contribution to the cause, she told me. Today, Cool the Globe has grown into an enterprise and a movement. We have users from over 100 countries coming together to fight climate change. I started this journey as a young girl who wanted to make a difference, but thought only celebrities, world leaders, and innovators hold that power. As I speak to you, Cool the Globe hits 1 million kg of avoided greenhouse gas emissions through citizens from corners of the world coming together to make savings in their own lives. But this is only the beginning. I tell this story to you today because I have one thing to ask of you and one thing to share with you. I ask that you believe in your own abilities to bring about change. And I share with you a vision of a world where citizens like you and I take collective action to solve global problems. A world where each one of us is a change maker. Let's build that world together.